Hello, this is the RPG Pundit, the final boss of internet shitlords. And so before I say anything else, this video is going to be a kind of designer notes about my newest book, the Gonzo Fantasy Companion, where I think the book itself is going to explain a bit of what Gonzo Fantasy looks like. And anyways, this is my latest book, and it's a huge resource book. It's 232 pages, basically full of stuff that you can use. It's not a setting. It's a whole bunch of generators and mechanics and things like that. Theoretically, it's an extension of World of the Last Sun, but World of the Last Sun is a setting book for the setting of my now 10-plus year-long DCC campaign, and it's got places in it. The Gonzo Fantasy Companion, instead, what it has is Gonzo and weird fantasy things and people and generators and items and mechanics that you can use. So in that sense, it's a bit more similar to the old school companion, which is like a source book that you can use for adding a more medieval authentic fantasy to your RPG. Gonzo Fantasy Companion allows you to add a more weird, science fantasy, space fantasy, whatever you want to call it, or just plain Gonzo fantasy. So, table of contents, you can see it's divided into three main categories: people, places, and things. Okay, and you have a list of the different things that you are going to find there, which I will give you a minute so you can glance at if you really want to, but we'll go into it. The introduction just repeats the basic intro of World of the Last Sun about the setting. But again, you don't have to get World of the Last Sun to get and use the Gonzo Fantasy Companion. It's not setting focused, right? So the first thing you have is like hipster elves, which are elves that are, instead of living out in the forest, live in weird sci-fi domes. And you can check out, what they would do with those domes. So hipster elf characters are randomly rolled for their occupation, items, and goods, in a way not unlike DCC. You can see some of their professions here, and they're meant to be sort of comic relief, of course. Next, we have mutant hordes, and in mutant hordes, it's basically allows you to generate a variety of weird mutants for a Gonzo fantasy setting. So these are near humans, right? They're similar to humans, but have unusual and weird qualities. So some of them are kind of animal-like. Some of them are weird in different ways, and you also have some random mutations that each one can roll. And there are even psychic powers. These include rules for psychic abilities, Gonzo fantasy style, plus some random tables of weirdness there. Intelligent animals. So if you want to have animal characters, these aren't furries. There are some furries in the book, I guess, technically, but these aren't them. These are animals that can think and talk, right? So in the World of the Last Sun, there are animals that can't talk, and then there are animals who can and who can think and whatnot, right? And so this is a set of mechanics for you to create player characters that are different types of animals with developed intelligence. So stats and also notes on personality, right? So porcupines are kind of dim-witted. Lynxes like to act mysteriously, but they're actually pretty dull when you get to know them. Skunks are romantic, but have a serious cowardly streak, etc., etc. Next, we have a section called Uncanny Creatures, which presents some various people and things, like the Archimaster, who's a villain character in the World of the Last Sun, cactus people, giant chickens, the Council of Really Old Wizards, the Disco Cubes, giant plain snails, hillbilly giants, the Hypno Naga, and the mutant Discovery Scout elves of Camp Hee-Haw. Also, Pythian androids, succubus princess, zombies, sword octopi, variety of stuff. Next, you have the Gonzo race generator, and this is a set system to create weird races, right? Not just near human type mutants, but a whole variety of possible randomly generated races that you can use in your game. This kind of the inspiration for this was playing in Mystara, where, you know, Mystara has a huge volume of setting material and it's full of weird races. And so I thought, well, why not have a system by which you can generate those races? You can generate a basic type of species, and then from there you can develop, you know, what their attribute bonuses and penalties are, their abilities, if they have any, their different qualities. So they're all described by type with subtypes, right? So you could be a chaos creature, but that doesn't say a lot. So the chaos creature will have random qualities to it, right? Same thing with elementals, fungus men, energy beings, right? So there's different types of energy beings, right? Gas creatures. Just recently in DCC, one of our players has ended up randomly generating himself a gas entity that can't actually touch anything, but it can do some weird stuff. Giant race demi-humans, goblinoids, etc. So basically, if there's any type of creature, you can make one here, and you can use them for, you know, for non-player races if you want to, or player character races in theory. Though some of them are definitely not going to be very balanced, but Gonzo doesn't care too much about balance. You can even play one of the wuss species. And then there's like human derivative species, so etc. So these are all a variety of options for characters and types of creatures and so on. Next, we got places. And the first is ancient complexes, where you are able to generate, it's a random dungeon generator basically for like what is a high-tech installation that has long since been abandoned or corrupted in some way, in a kind of post-apocalyptic Gonzo setting, right? So in the World of the Last Sun, you had the ancients who had these very deep underground bases that they used, and the ancients then mysteriously vanished. And so sometimes people are able to find their way to one of these ancient complexes and break in, and they're all very high tech and everything. But then there could be all kinds of stuff that has developed in there over the thousands of years that they've been abandoned or sealed, you know? So this is a complete generator, all kinds of mechanics that you can use to design a complex, what form it'll take, what size, and, you know, what it'll have in it. And it'll have some weird stuff in it for sure, and obviously high-tech stuff, which is what the player characters are probably going to be going in there to try to get, you know. Valuables of different sorts, like an escape pod or high-tech survival items. So that's the section on as you can see, it's quite large with the nemesis and stuff, the ancient complexes. Next, we get alternate material planes, because I've always liked the idea. I mean, we have a lot of planar stuff in D&D settings, but one thing I love is the idea that characters can go to other planes that aren't just like celestial planes, but are just like other worlds, right? And so you have a generation system to create alternate planes or pocket planes that have a completely different style to them than the plane that your characters normally spend time on. And again, it's a complete generator. You can go ahead adding, sorry, I'm going to switch sides here. There we go. Adding to all kinds of aspects of the setting with different qualities. And there's some random ones at the end. So the next section is Gonzo Things. And here you have, first of all, high-tech weapons for you to use in your Gonzo game. Pipes and pipeweed, where I give you a description of how pipes could be used in a fantasy setting. Notes on magic pipes, what people smoke, and I believe there's 20 magical pipeweed mixtures that you can have your pipe smoking character use to their benefit. Next, we've got Dungeon Chef, which is a set of rules for what happens when your players decide they need to start eating monsters that they killed in the dungeon or elsewhere. And so there's, again, some random tables and some guidelines of what eating certain things are going to do to you. A lot of them aren't good, but some of them might be. You never know. Then we have dragon corpses, which is stuff you can do once you've killed the dragon with the dragon's body. Then there's uncanny and dubious items. So these are, again, some more magic items that you can use. Not magic, in a lot of cases, high-tech items that you can use. But there are also magic items like the Amulet of Hot Dolphin Love, Beads of Neutrality, the black box with a button. That one's always great because you know someone's going to press that button. The Brain Jar, the Briefcase of Holding, Carrot of Intelligence, the Dagger of Teleportation. That one was a favorite in our campaign, it's basically a dagger that you can teleport someone to where you want, but you have to stab them to do it. Some other items. These are all items that appeared in my campaign at some point or another, and some of them are pretty. A lot of them are pretty powerful, but some of them are pretty wild too. Gray Man Miracle Grow Hair Formula. There you go. The Loot Axe. Lots of different items that you can use. The Ring of Bread, which doesn't sound very powerful, but if you were playing in a medieval authentic setting, my God, that would be useful. The Ancient Finding Arrow, the Armageddon Scroll, Curious Swords. You see, it keeps going on and on. And then we get to the kitchen sink. In case you were worried about whether or not this product included the kitchen sink, it does. It has a set of random tables for what happens when you find a kitchen sink in a dungeon. And then we have the robot generator for when you want to generate a Gonzo-style robot, including names, statistics, powers, weapons, qualities, and also, details on the creator, the robot's role, what they are, what they want, if they're intelligent robots, their favorite hobbies. So you can generate any number of robots. And there is Bolto, the bolt tightening robot, who is a major character in my World of the Last Sun setting. So that is the Gonzo Fantasy Companion. As you can see, you're getting a huge amount of material, and all of it is about just utility, right? You can take and whatever parts of this you want and put them into your game. You can change them around. You can leave stuff out. There's not really a setting. What there is a lot of different sections that you can use to generate weird things for your campaign. So that's the Gonzo Fantasy Companion. You can get it from DTRPG, along with World of the Last Sun and the Old School Companion, and any number of other RPG Pundit products like Lion and Dragon and The Invisible College and Sword and Caravan and Arrows of Indra, and of course the RPG Pundit Presents series. So be sure to check it out. If you can, please like this video, share it anywhere you think people will be interested in this product. Or pissed off. I guess some people might be pissed off at my ongoing success. The Gonzo Fantasy Companion is already a bestseller on drive-thru. Again, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And just check out all my products. If the Gonzo Fantasy stuff is not for you, for some people really love it. But if not, if you're looking for something medieval authentic, check out the Old School Companion. It's kind of the same thing, but for medieval authentic stuff. So you can add stuff like more realistic versions of courtly life and intrigue, more realistic versions of elves, magical grimoires that are actually based on historical medieval grimoires, details on astrology for magicians, all kinds of stuff like that. So, you get your choice. If you want to play I love both of them, right? But if you want to play a really serious, historical based fantasy campaign, you got the Old School Companion. If you want to play something that is just completely wacko, then go ahead with the Gonzo Fantasy Companion. Lots of great options are available to you. As usual, thank you for watching this. Please spread the word, share the video, and keep on watching in the future for more products. There's also more reviews in the way, but obviously I decided to bump mine ahead to give it the advantage. Sorry, Avenger, I know you've been waiting for a while on Chartreuse Shadows. It's coming up in 2 reviews. Before that, it's one of the Wretchedverse books, and then you. That's everything for today. Currently smoking Rattray's Meerschaum inset with, I think this is Cornell and Deal's Super Balkan, if I remember the name right.